Hey True Seekers, it's Nathaniel here again with another deck profile. Today I'm going to be covering the May Faith and Hope deck. This deck isn't a deck that's traditionally like our own decks, and that's because I actually played a guy in the tournament from over a year ago who built a deck similar to this. His deck, quite frankly, scared me. Like, it was really powerful. And it was just because he played the game completely different than how Carol and I played the game. So anyways, I'm just going to go ahead and get on with this. All right, so this is May, is a True Seeker. This says once per turn, you may draw 2 cards for each Faith Power card that you discard from your hand. So if you have power cards in your hand, you can just choose to discard them, and you get to draw twice as many cards as you discarded. It's very powerful. And you're about to see why. Start off with, I have 2 Prayer. This is the only Hope Power I run in the deck. I honestly do not need to run any more Hope than this. And as a matter of fact, I could get away with just running one of these as a Hope. And instead, I can run one of these as a Faith Power. But you'll see why this is a bit excessive. All right? In just a moment. We have our Faith Power. And it's this chunk of cards here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I have 18 Faith Power cards here. All right. Reason why is I plan on discarding all of these, except for 5 of them. All right. So that way, if I do, I'm going to draw 28 cards from my deck. It is that simple. That's the game plan here. Draw 28 cards from my deck. Next up, my equipment. I have 2 pulse chains. I should see at least one of these pulse chains. I've even considered running a Scarlet Cord in this, but I didn't find the room. So, pulse chains has the ability, says, the animal to whom this card is attached may not be activated, but may be discarded anytime during your setup phase. Once per turn, as long as the card is attached to an animal in your small group, you can search your deck for up to 2 level 1 Animo and place them in your small group. If there's no room in your small group, this card has no use. We're going to use this to grab our Flow Ultras. That's our game plan with that. Next up, we're going to run 2 story cards. We have Giant Killer to get rid of Mega Cinnies and Paused Maws. So that way, my opponent can't play a Cinny on me on the turn after I played this. I run only 5 Cinnies in this deck. I run Zapper King, Venomoth, Lorkai Mega, Venomoth Mega, and Fearcrow Mega Plus. Zapper King prevents my opponent from playing any level 1 animal from their hand on their small group during the next turn. Venomoth prevents my opponent from activating any Animo that's placed in their small group or grown in their small group in the same turn that they've done that. Lurkai Mega has the action says select one Animo from your opponent's small group and flip it over. As long as this Cinny is active, that Cinny may not be interacted with any way. Venomoth Mega. Your opponent may not activate any level 1 Animo on their next turn. And Fearcrow Mega Plus. Your opponent may not play any cards from their hand on their next turn. This deck doesn't really care about slowing down my opponent because this deck's so fast that I'm not worried about my opponent needing to be slowed down. So I just chose some bare minimum. As a matter of fact, I could just go with these 3 and just be fine. Because I'm guaranteed to basically see all my Cinnies. Next up, I run 3 Flow Ultras. So during the tournament, I found that a lot of competitive players just ran 3 Flow Ultras. I normally run just 1 Flow Ultra and recycle it all game. You don't have to recycle it if you run 3. It's pretty good. Flow Ultra has the ability, which is Swap. It says you may discard this card from your small group. If you do, search your deck for any 3 animal, reveal them and place them in your hand. Shuffle your deck afterwards. This is really good. Flow is limited to once per turn with its ability. So, still a really good card. Next up is the card that makes its deck possible, is Floraline. Alright, Floraline, level 1, isn't that great? But Floraline level 2 has the ability that says, as long as this card's in your small group, there's no limit to the number of power cards you may play from your hand into your power pool. So this deck focuses on drawing every single card in its deck. Once it's drawn all the cards that it needs, it'll just play all 5 power cards in a single turn. This makes this pretty good. Next up, I have 3 Hightails. This deck is all about drawing, so why not draw more cards? It has the Retreat ability, which says if this card's in your hand, you may choose to reveal it, shuffle it back into your deck, and then if you do, draw 3 cards. Pretty good. Use it as kind of like my draw story card. And then I have Socro level 1. Socro level 1 has the ability, when it's played from my hand into my small group, draw a card, which is pretty good. As I plan on growing Socro into the Socro level 2 from Fearless. Socro level 2 has the Harvest ability. It says, at the time this card is activated, it is worth 2 VP for each card in your hand, up to a max of 16. Since I'm going to have basically my entire deck in my hand, he's going to be worth 16 points when I activate him. It's pretty good value. Next up, because I'm drawing my entire deck, I don't want to deck out. So I run 3 Hoofits. So that way I can shuffle 3 cards back into my deck from my discard pile, excluding himself when I discard him. Next up, because I like drawing cards so much, I have Trusty level 1 and Trusty level 2. Trusty level 2, while it's in my small group, I can discard him. If I do, I get to draw 4 cards. It's pretty good. Next up, I have 2 Stagnetics. Stagnetic has the Endurance action. It says instantly earn 5 VP if you have 20 or fewer cards in your deck, an additional 5 VP if you have 10 or fewer cards in your deck. Because I plan on drawing my entire deck, his Endurance is going to kick off and make him a total worth 18 points. Next up, we have Armory level 1. Armory level 1. When he's played from my hand to my small group, I can search my deck for 1 Faith Power card. Then I shuffle my deck afterwards. Now, the neat thing about him is basically he says, when I play him, I can search for a card that's going to let me draw 2 cards, since May lets me discard that card. Next, I'm going to run 3 Armorino from Fearless. Level 2. Level 2 Armorino has the ability, says, when this card is played to grow Armory level 1, you can search your discard pile for 1 card and place it in your hand. I can grab any card back from my discard pile that I need. It's very helpful. Next up, I have Armorino from Cross Trainers. The first Armorino I want to get in play is this Armorino, so that way I can ignore the actions and abilities of Cities, which is pretty good. It has the ability that says, as long as the card remains in play, your opponent's Cities actions have no effect. I'm never going to use that Fellowship bonus. His entire job is just to sit there. And lastly, I have 2 Armorino from Fearless. He has the Preserve Faith ability. It says instantly earn 2 VP for each and every Faith power card in your discard pile. Okay? No more than 10 VP may be earned in this manner. So this combined combined with this, get my other Armorino out here. My small group, I would love it to look like this. Okay? This Armorino is there for protection, and these guys cost a total of 6. So that way you can activate them. And then this is 16, this is 18, and this right here is 20. So that's going to be 28. 28 plus... So that's going to be 28 plus 10, so that's 38. Plus 16 equals 54. There's going to be a total of 54 virtue points in a single turn. So my first turn is actually going to look like this. And it's going to be worth 10 points less. So it's going to be 44 points. And the following turn, 54 points. So I got to activate Floor Line, or I have to put a Pulse Chains on and discard them. This deck can win in like a total of 2 to 3 turns. If it's speed playing. And there aren't any Cities in a way that's going to, create a massive deficit. However, even with like saying 98 points over the course of 2 turns, is pretty good, because I have at least enough to do this twice. All right. Meanwhile, this guy's just going to sit over here and be good and just protect me. Anyways, we're going to bring this video to a close. This has been our May Faith and Hope deck. So in the meantime, Truth Seekers, keep learning virtues and defeating cities.